All right. All right. Hey, guys. Thanks for joining. Welcome, everyone. So this is going to be the first episode. We're just going to do a weekly chat, and we're going to talk about a little bit of what's going on in the market, how is the market moving, what's Bitcoin doing, and so on. We're going to try to do this weekly, trying to make it as engaged as possible. So I have a look in the chat and drop any messages there. We have a look on Discord. We have people monitoring all channels, so feel free to drop messages and questions. Right, so let me start sharing some stuff with you. Let's start just by taking a look at what's going on this week. So I think the first thing I kind of noticed today is one of the first days that we have the fear and greed index, which has dropped. Well, not really dropped, but it's increased higher than usual, right? So we've been in the extreme fear for quite a few days in 20s range, 10s range, and we're finally moving up to the 45, which is good. I think it's good. People are gaining a bit more confidence, and retail investors are coming back to gain a bit more confidence. So that's good to see. Yeah, Coin Oracle here joining me today. Do you have any regards into terms of retail investors and how people perceiving the markets today? Think it's a better day than usual.
Yeah, hello guys. It's finally good to be live on the channel all together. Yeah, as an observation, I would say that now we're not in extreme fear anymore, but the condition of the market is still that most of the retail is out. The seller is almost exhausted, so things are looking good. We're still waiting for confirmation of breakout of the downtrend, but yeah, the situation is looking better than before.
Yeah,
Probably we just bottom out, and it could be a good buy opportunity.
Yeah, I think what I'm seeing around as well is like common opinion among trading and classic crypto Twitter and crypto YouTube. It has we found a lock at the bottom. We have seen a bounce, and the question is, should people buy, or should people get in the market? That's really the question we're going to try to today and discuss today a little bit. I think main point here that I would start looking at is maybe start looking at the charts and take a look at the Bitcoin charts, see what Bitcoin is doing. So let me switch screens again. All right. So if we take a look at what Bitcoin is doing, I think I just want to make the price action a little bit bigger. All right, so I think what we've seen in last days, this is the 1-day chart. We've seen the price kind of moving down in this downtrending channel, and we've been hitting support levels over time. So we hit multiple support levels on the way down, and we now saw a bounce back. So we're seeing this bounce. We saw the bounce from the $35,000 level. We're seeing a bounce up from the $40,000, and that's this big wick that we had on Friday, I believe. Now from here, the question is, where do we go? And there's different scenarios that we can picture. So definitely good to see there was a bounce. And if you guys didn't manage to get into the bottom at this point, I don't think you should be entering right now. I think right now it's a good time to actually wait a little bit more for a confirmation. So what I expect to happen here is basically what I traced in this orange line. So I would expect the price to see a bit of a retest of this $40,000 level. And in the last couple of days, we've seen insane gains. We've seen Bitcoin, this is probably 15%. Actually, let's since we got time today, we're not doing a short video, we're having a nice chat. Let me pull out some tools for you, and we can actually try to see. So we got a 20% increase, right? So 20% increase in the price. You probably don't want to buy at this point. You're buying something that's being overbought. I would say wait until we got confirmation, wait until there is a bit of a relief. And I would wait in this zone of $40,000. And then, once we confirm that has been a RS flip, which means we flip the resistance to support, then then you can start thinking about entering the market. And another good indicator for this is usually the stochastic RSI. So it kind of gives you an indication of how over bought something is. So right now it's very high, so definitely follow the RSI and enter at a better level. So what's important here, I think, is the change in trend. So there's definitely been a change in trend, and there's been a breakout. We shaped out retail. So I think what's important to highlight is that we're in this downtrending channel. and volume was going down, right? We were decreasing in volume in the sense that people were exiting crypto, exiting Bitcoin, holding fiat or currencies or stable coins. And now, if you look at the volume, there was a huge amount of volume that went to pull the price down. So if you look at what we did, we pulled the price down from, from this level all the way down here. That's 51%. And now we pull it up 20% with very little volume, right? In just 2-3 days, the volume down here, that we managed to pull it. So this volume here managed to pull the price 20% up. Well, if you look at the volume that we had to pull it down 50%, it's a lot more, right? So now it's basically the time in which, whales can come in and swoop a lot of Bitcoin and swoop a lot of this, altcoins and major coins, and this is what's going to drive the price. So yeah, do you have any comments? Anything that you want to discuss on this a bit more?
Yeah, I think a good strategy in this kind of situation is see what Bitcoin does. So in case you get a confirmation, like usually we always try to buy the lowest and sell the highest, but it's okay to just buy a little bit later and sell a little bit earlier. So I think this is a good opportunity for you just to wait confirmation for Bitcoin, and then especially if you wanna buy back into altcoins, that the moment Bitcoin start running, they're gonna have a very big relief bounce because most of them are down 90%, 80%. So it would be definitely be a good opportunity the moment you see some strength from Bitcoin to start getting the things that you want to buy, that you need to buy. So yeah, even it's a bit too late. You can see already things pumping now, but don't rush in. Maybe especially wait as the algorithm said for confirmation. Is there a trace like we still overheated on the RSI of hours? The daily is still low, but in general, we should wait for
I think really on the long term, it's good entry point with great information. If you are following this market on daily or hourly basis like we do, then some of enter very early. If you are a retail investor and you don't have the time to follow, then wait for confirmations like this and look at your site and definitely follow the channels that you based. So because of this, I think it makes sense to can look at the today, winners and losers. Take a look at our portfolios, just see what's going on right now. So this is the coin market cap top coins by market cap. So I mean, this is kind of the classic guys, right? So we've seen Bitcoin 14%, we just said Ethereum 17% up. If you look at the chart though, 30 days on the right hand side here, the chart is still very low, right? So you're still buying effectively, you're still buying the bottom, you're not buying the top, you're still in a good place. I'm just saying buying right now is a bit of a bet, right? It's 50-50. Could keep going up, but it's unlikely. Could just go down and retest. So Solana is one of the big ones as well that we always take a look at. Solana is still red on the 30 days, so maybe Solana is one of the good ones that we can take a look at the moment. Luna's a bit of a different story, in my opinion. Actually, I kind of want to share that. So let me bring up the chart for Luna. I feel like Luna it's actually invalidated a bit more the trend that was following in this pullback. So if we just switch to Luna here. All right, so I think this kind of changed the narrative a little bit. So Luna, it's trending in this downtrend channel, and it kind of formed this like reverse head and shoulders pattern as well that broke down. But at the same time, we did break below this long-term uptrend line, and we are still very much in a very bullish view. So I would be a bit more careful. And the same story actually goes with AVAX. They're extremely good protocols long-term. I think we've been absolutely lunatics on the channel. We've been talking about Luna and the Terra Luna protocol. It is a good moment to maybe, push up your bags in Luna a bit more, but I would be careful. And if we look at the Fibonacci levels, we did touch on the 61 level, 60.61 level, and bounce back from there. So that was definitely a good signal. But I would be careful about Luna. You could easily get to the $65 level and keep trending sideways from here, or even go down further. Of course, it will follow what Bitcoin does, at least for the time being. Every time we see a shakeout like this, most of the coins kind of follow Bitcoin until we settle it back a little bit more. Yeah, so I think everything is looking pretty bright. We've seen Dogecoin and SHIB, so Shiba Inu is up 60%. I'm not a big fan of these coins. I mentioned it a few times in the past myself. I don't really care for meme coins, but if you're speculative in that sense, then it is definitely interesting, something to look at. Anything that you want to take a look in specific?
Yeah, I would say scrolling from the main page, you can see all the main top market cap points. And in general, I think one of the narrative that has been leading lately has been layer ones. So I will look on the first page of Coin Market Cap for undervalued, fully working layer ones, which they didn't pump yet, but they are very striking ecosystem and fully working technology. Like, yeah, one good example is Near Protocol. He has lots of things going on. You can see like all the Near Protocol, Matic, and was the other one that I was looking today. Also, Armory One exploding in the number of addresses and number of apps being developed. And yeah, I would say like in crypto, you kind of trade also opinions. So you would like to see to compare different layer ones. And you can see, for example, Terra or Solana, which are top 10, and then these others will a bit like lower on the list. They could definitely be up there. And so you can compare market cap with them, and there's definitely a lot of room to grow.
Yeah, I agreed. Right, I think, yeah, we can take a look at a couple specific ones. I think one of the things that I would talk about today is, what should we get into next? What's the drive? What coins are most interesting? So definitely, if you're looking at the main ones, we said a little bit, but we've seen it in the past in December. The metaverse and gaming are driving the market, and that's what's driving the market. That's driven the market in the last couple of months, and it is a perfect pullback, right? So I had a chart open today. Let me pick it back up for Decentraland and Sandbox. So the Sandbox was one of the strongest ones to rebound, and this is no surprise. So it bounced all the way back from $2 to what, 4.7. I would be a bit careful with this. I was tracing it today. I was waiting for this to kind of break this uptrend line. If it breaks the trend line, this is another buy signal right here. And the same narrative is actually on the technical side on Mana. Mana, though, kind of gave me a much better buy signal when it was back down at 250. So this is definitely interesting coins to look at, but then of course, which ones are the ones that are still good to buy? This one's here very much overheated at the moment. If you look at the stochastic RSI and the RSI, very, very high, right? So you probably wouldn't want to enter right now. You probably want to wait a couple of days for a retest. But the ones that I was looking at, and I think you were looking at them as well, you were looking at Gala, that did something similar. So I think Gala was an interesting one. Do you want to kind of give an overview? About Gala? I think a lot of people probably wouldn't really know or don't necessarily know what Gala is.
Yeah, so basically Gala is a very strong gaming studio with tens of working games, thousands of users every day, which recently pumped over like 5x and keep being strong. I think they're building now the metaverse. They have a lot of funding from China, I think. And yeah, one of the things I wanted to say in general about gaming and metaverse is that they're one of the other narrative which is picking up a lot at the moment, but it's also a very new space, healthy space. So there's lots of opportunity. So you can see at the top three, like Gala is actually one of the strongest projects if you look at it, but like Mana and Sandbox, they are still very for example, also activity very easy games, very simplistic. So there's a lot of projects that definitely pick up and do great runs. So as an example, I'm looking at Watch, which is an amazing game studio, very similar to games, and there are lots of things they're making. They have also tens of games, 1,000 users. So you kind of want to look for something similar to the main coins constantly and see, compare them if they're able to pull a type around.
Yeah, I agree. I'll just pull up charts now. Take a look at what you mentioned. So let me share my screen again. Right, so looking at here, we talked about Mana and Sandbox. This is Vulcan Forged. Still overheated at the moment, but definitely, good buy entry. Nothing like we've seen from Mana. So, for switch chart, this has been a massive parabolic move. If we look at Vulcan's Forge, we are in this sort of a trend line here. So definitely, buying at this point is not a bad idea, especially if we settle at this support zone here. Gala Studios is kind of similar, right? We went a bit parabolic here in the short term. But I would expect this to kind of, same as Bitcoin, resettle this support level and retest this support level. Moon River was one of the ones that I was looking at this morning. This one just broke this downtrend line and it's now actually very well set to go from here. I would just catch the RSI, right? So what I look for here in this sort of trades is for the RSI and the stochastic RSI down here to drop at a certain level where I'm comfortable to enter again. And then kind of use that as an entry point for the trade itself. We obviously share all these trades on our channels, Discord and Telegram and Twitter, so don't forget to follow us, guys. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. We talked about Superfarm as well. Do you want to give an overview about Superfarm? I think you know way more details than I do on gaming coins.
Yeah, definitely. So Superfarm is studio mainly focused on NFTs and gaming. So they're gonna drop the NFT marketplace very, very soon. They have another game called Impostor, which is a very similar to Among Us, which is probably gonna be big. I mean, there's also a lot of hype in the space, and, and yeah, they have lots of interesting feature coming, and I think it's a very strong project. Yeah, another thing that I wanted to say in general, and in this around gaming and metaverse, you want to look for project they're going to build the infrastructure rather than maybe this the actual game itself. Some because you know this kind of like you saw Facebook or Meta is something that is very likely there's going to be the future. So you want to look for something that's going to be the base infrastructure. So an example would be Veracity, which will establish itself as the streaming platform for blockchain gaming. An example would be US Trust, which is the team of gaming. So you want to look for that kind of infrastructure that will allow to be like the basic building blocks. Another thing we are on NFTs. There is Remark and Altura, which develop like a kind of middle layer to create generative NFTs that could be traded and used around. They can change state depending variables. So yeah, we'll look for this kind of project that wanna be the building blocks of the metaverse.
Yeah, and I think at this point, one thing I want to share as well. We talked about Opulus in one of the previous videos. So Opulus is basically a music NFTs and a platform where artists can launch their music as NFTs. Extremely nice project. They are the biggest ones to do with Royal. Royal just launched NAS and now just last month. And I think what's interesting here is for Opulus, for example, it's just kind of breaking the downtrend. It absolutely is the lowest point. And this is a very promising project. There was a lot of interest back in November when the metaverse and everything around it started picking up. So I can definitely see this going back to easily at least $4 or so, and I will put you about 4.5x from where it is today. So this is definitely not a good opportunity, for example. So this is what I would look for right now. I would look for coins like this that still haven't pumped as the rest. Right, I think we can switch to a bit of an on-chain data analysis. I think before we do, a good way to maybe introduce it is looking at dominance for Bitcoin. So the dominance between Bitcoin and altcoins, it's something that I look at to kind of see where the direction is going, where the money is flowing. And right now there's a bit of uncertainty. So it's kind of like going up and down in between altcoins and Bitcoin. I think that's natural because we're trying to decide, what's going to happen, what's going on, right? Is Bitcoin going to keep going up? Is it going to settle at this level? And then what I expect to see is that we had this pump from Bitcoin. I expect it to settle. I expect it to dump a little bit, maybe to the $40,000 level, and use that as support. As that happens, I expect dominance to flip towards altcoins, and I expect most altcoins to rally. So that's something that we could look out. And then, I guess at the on-chain analysis can give us a bit of help on this. So I can,
Yeah,
I can share.
definitely.
Yeah, if you can share your screen, then we can take a look at that together as well.
Yeah, I would love to share some charts.
Yeah, let me bring it up. All right, we got you twice. All right, there it is.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we got you. All right, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the first indicator I wanted to talk about is that it's been decreasing during the last pump, so they definitely could have seen a reversal. But then now we've seen whales accumulating again. So yeah, this could be a confirmation of the fact that we bottom out. And yeah, we can see a trend reversal just happening right now. Yeah, related to this, I would say the as we said before, retail is mainly out of the market, so the big guys running the show. You can see the volume. So all the trades that around 10 million plus are picking up very high. So yeah, big entities are running the show and moving the price rather than retail. And I'm sorry, I skipped one. Yeah, I was talking about the liquid supply shock ratio. So an liquid entity is an entity which when buys 4 coins, he holds 75% of it and only sells 25%. So this basically tells you how much of the supply is not available to buy. So we can see when this chart is trending up, you can see an accumulation phase and a kind of bearish divergence. You can look for bearish divergence to understand when the Bitcoin price is undervalued. So right now we can see a very, very strong accumulation phase that is taking place. And yeah, the same thing happened back on June, and then the price started running up. So we could see something very similar happening very soon. So here you can see the on-chain cost basis. So you can compare this metric to the market cap. So the market cap is just pricing each single coin at the current price, which is a more speculative kind of view of the Bitcoin value. While on-chain basis, also called realized cap, is summing the cost of each coin when there was the last time sold or moved. So basically, yeah, the last time someone bought the coin, summing all together, and this kind of give you a fair value of Bitcoin itself. And you can see it acted as support during most of the bull markets, acted as resistance during bear market, and you can spot a lot of reversals when the actual market caps breaks up or down.
I guess what we're looking for here is that we can see the price actually breaking up the line, right?
Yeah, so basically now, yeah, we can see a bearish indicator in general it broke down. Until we reclaim the on-chain basis, the realized market cap, we're still on a bearish scenario. So for myself, in order to actually turn bullish, I would wait to reclaim the realized cap. Another even better kind of indicator that you can use is the short-term holders cost basis. So it's basically the same concept that we just said, but only related to short-term holders. So people that hold coins for less than 155 days at most. And this is actually, it happens to be even a stronger signal of a bearable market. So when we are under the short-term realized price, we are basically underwater. So short-term holders are selling a loss, and usually it's a signal of bear market. So yeah, I would be cautious until we reclaim this level, and around is sitting around 47K. So here you can see actually the ratio between the market cap and the realized cap. So the thing we just talked about, which is the on-chain basics, yeah. And you can, so you run the ratio between the two, and when there is a big spread between the actual market cap and the realized cap, it means the Bitcoin is overvaluated. So
we see like the spikes that we had in the past, right? So this is where the spread was, and we see the spikes.
Okay, so yeah, we were talking about the actual MVRV ratio, which is the ratio between the market cap and the realized cap. So when this ratio is very high, it means the market cap related to the fair valuation, so the cost basics, is very high. So there is a big spread, and this actually signals very good the tops of all the bull markets. And in general, you can see that we never got too much overheated. We didn't even touch the 6th level on the last December, and now we are back in what is usually a good buy zone. So yeah, this is a good indicator to understand tops or when the actual Bitcoin valuation is overvalued or undervalued. This is just a zoomed version of it. And yeah, another thing that I wanted to show is the short-term versus long-term ratio. So you basically run a ratio between the holding of short terms versus the holding of long terms. So as you can see in bear market, the ratio goes up, which means that the short-term holders that are increasing their holdings versus the long-term holders that are selling into the strands. So this ratio is going up, which is another very good leading indicator to understand when we are topping out, and yeah, when we are in a bull market. And then right now we are back down. Usually in a uptrend, we are in a bull market. When it's downtrend, we are in a bear market. But then yeah, you mostly see the different levels, and yeah, right now you can see that long short-term holders are not too much into the market. Yeah, another thing that I wanted to say in general is derivatives. So we know that derivatives affect a lot the Bitcoin market, and in general we've seen, so the funding rate is basically a percentage which longs pay to enter positions, shorts. So, for example, here you can see the longs were actually paying a lot to funding was always positive during the bear market of last year, but then now we had a period of mixed funding rate between from May towards today, which is this is a very good indicator in general. Now, right now we're actually going to negative funding rate, which means that actually shorts are paying to opening position, which usually is a good indicator for bulls. But in general, you can see that right now we are not derivative driven, so the spot is actually taking control. While I think that the actual move itself or the last 3 months is mainly been driven by derivatives. And one of the things you can see here is actually so there's two types of derivatives of futures. So there's the perpetual swaps, which never expires and have a dynamic funding rate, and then there is the classic futures that have an expiration dates, and the closer they get to expiration dates, the value changes. And you can actually see that right now we are a very low funding rate, which means that there's not the speculative bids on the market itself. And yeah, usually you see this metric picking up a lot in a bull market. And yeah, another good indicator is when you open a leverage position on futures or in derivatives, you use a margin. So there's a way you can use a margin. It could be stable coin or it could be crypto. So a good indicator is when, like right now, the most of the margin is actually stable coin, which is very good. Because as an example, we say if you margin your position with crypto itself, you are increasing your exposure a lot, because the moment the price goes up, also your collateral, your margin goes up. But then if the price goes down, also your collateral goes down, which increases the risk of liquidation. Which means that there's a lot of speculation and a lot of risk in the market. Where right now we can see most of the margin is actually stable coins instead of crypto, which is a very healthy indicator on the future market. And yeah, you can see you can kind of use these. Actually, this was related to the beginning of the whales, and then right now we are in the accumulation phase with the balances of whale are accumulating.
Another good point I would kind of see from here is like if you zoom out a little bit from this, these charts, it's kind of evident that we just saw a little spike in the price in the movement. It's not. It's not a huge recovery, and we still have to validate and test all of these movements. Right, so I think we talked about most things. I just wanted to share one more point. I'm just going to share again. So I just wanted to share this with you guys. So if we look at the way the cycles work in Bitcoin, we usually have this initial rise as the impulse begins, and then we have a peak, and then the altcoins kind of take the lead, and then we have sort of stable or consolidation, and sometimes kind of like bear markets or temporary bear markets. And we've seen since 2019 we've seen two impulse waves. The one that culminated with the May 2020 dropped related to COVID, and we've seen another impulse wave at the beginning of June 2020 that brought us all the way to $50,000. And then we kind of like consolidated the run here, right? In reality, we went out to 60 and then back down to 40. So if we take that, look at that from zooming out, we kind of consolidating this down a little bit. And what I expect to see now is a third impulse wave, right? So if we just keep looking at the history, we would expect a third impulse wave. So this is what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to consolidate here for a few days and then keep going out from here. Of course, remember to play safe. Use your stop losses and take profits on the way up. I think that's it for today. I don't really have anything else I want to discuss.
Maybe one of the things that we didn't talk about was the macro background around what just happened in crypto and markets. So we had a very strong correction due to the fact that the Federal Reserve announced going to start tapering, and I think the market actually priced in all the rate hikes. You can see also the euro dollars future is around 1.25, which is pricing in around 4 rate hikes this year. You can see in general that the market doesn't perform that bad even when the Feds are tapering or doing rate hikes. So I think probably the market that priced in, and in general, fact is that the Feds are mostly trying to create a narrative itself, because the system, if you see the debt per GDP, we are around 120%. So I don't know how easy is going to be to increase rates without making the system collapse. So I think the thing they want to do is just trying to push this narrative that they're going to taper, and that what they just done to kind of slow the overeating of the economy. So we can see the S&P 500 all-time highs in just 2 years. They did like 180%, which it never did. They kind of want the economy to slow down a bit, but
I think
by announcing. And I wouldn't be too scared around the situation at the moment. Always be cautious what's coming, especially. I think the first rate I would be around March. So
one thing I want to share is actually from Will Clemente. It's, he kind of pointed out the same breakout, but then he also was looking at the correlation with the S&P 500, or I think in this case he was talking about Nasdaq. So still, a traditional index. And the correlation is now that Bitcoin is moving upwards, the correlation is dropping. What does that actually mean? Well, it means that people will move into the crypto space as there is more instability in traditional markets, and that's what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. And I think what the what the current article was just saying now, it's pretty mirrored by the movements that we're seeing and the on-chain analysis that we're doing. So there is large movements into the crypto space. And even tapering and even increasing rates, that's just basically a way to try to keep dollar more stable and to try to avoid further inflation. But it is not a system that is deflationary by nature. It's a system that is inflationary by nature, or has been inflationary for a long time. We've seen 20% of the dollars, of all the dollars ever printed, were printed in the last couple of years, right? So the crypto space is deflationary by nature, right? So that's why we're seeing a lot of adoption, a lot of countries moving into it. This is a space where it is naturally deflationary for the most part. And we've seen a lot of ecosystems like Terra Luna ecosystem doing that. So I think there is more instability in the traditional markets. We'll see more and more adoption in cryptos as well. Go on. Go on.
What I was saying, this is in general in this type of macro situation, like we are seeing the base of currency. So the best place is not in cash. So even if there is going to be this deflationary spike period, because it's not even deflationary, just stagflationary period, I think the bigger picture is that the money is going to lose its purchasing power. So assets like cryptos or any type of assets are going to appreciate a lot. And I think the narrow on Bitcoin itself, it is a store of value versus the actual fiat currency, which is not at the moment, because you can print as much as you want, while with Bitcoin, there's a fixed supply, there's a fixed schedule, it's just pure math. So in general, I wouldn't say crypto itself is deflationary. It's only Bitcoin.
I think there's a lot of protocols that aim to be deflationary. They're not necessarily the whole space, but I think there's a lot of space for it. Like if you look at the Terra ecosystem and Luna, UST stablecoins are kind of deflationary by nature. And if we're going to start moving into that, I think they're going to start releasing the Euro stablecoin on the Terra Luna ecosystem. That's basically a way to keep your money safe from inflation by keeping them inside the protocol, inside the ecosystem.
I agree.
All right, I think that we should cut it short for today. We had a long chat, and we should recap next week. And so thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to join the Discord, follow us on Twitter, join the Telegram, ask any questions you may have, and we'll talk next week.
Have a good week, guys.
All
See you soon.